There is actually a connection between Huawei and what's going on in terms of Sprint and T-Mobile. Reading this letter and the filing from the FCC this morning in terms of detailing the conditions that they have agreed to with Sprint and T-Mobile, it's all about 5G. And in fact, just reading from it, by combining Sprint's mid-band spectrum and T-Mobile's low-band spectrum, the merger will position the United States to lead the 5G era by not only accelerating the deployment of a nationwide 5G network, but also increasing competitive pressure on other mobile wireless carriers to accelerate and expand their planned 5G deployments. So they're talking about world-leading nationwide 5G networks being an uncontested keystone of this merger. Now, of course, we've heard that from both John Ledger and the management team at Sprint. Marcelo Claret is no longer running Sprint, but we've heard him testify about that being the key thing. And the FCC, Ajit Pai, the chair of the FCC, is clearly a believer. And so a key reason why they have agreed to now, by the way, they haven't drafted the order yet. That'll be a few more weeks. Then you got to get to all the commissioners to vote on it. But you've got the chair saying yes this morning. And then you've got this detailed filing here with the various things they've agreed to do in order to get approval. But 5G is the key behind it. And there is an absolute connection to what we're doing in terms of trying to prevent Huawei from being a worldwide leader in 5G. And the argument that Sprint and T-Mobile have made to U.S. regulators about why they should be allowed to do their deal because they will give the U.S. a leg up in 5G.
Well, let me ask you, David, do we have a national policy? It looks like we do.
We had not, but certainly
now.
We seem to at least be focused on making sure the U.S. is. I mean, listen, it was very smart of them to play on what they always knew was. Now, we should point out quickly the DOJ is yet to be heard from.
Right.
Department of Justice weighing in on the basic idea of a market with 4 players going to 3 players and whether or not it will lessen competition between those and prices will actually go up as a result. I mean, that's going to be a key thing. Previously, there's been reports, not from me, but from, I think, the Journal, that the staff at the DOJ has potentially been opposed to the deal. I've spoken to Makan Delrahim most recently a few weeks ago from the Milken Conference.
That was great.
But he was very much, as you'd expect him to be, non-committal in terms of where things stand. I cannot remember, though, a time when you've seen the FCC say yes to something and the DOJ saying no. There may be, and some of my sources or people out there on Twitter may remember it, but I don't really. Usually they do act in some sort of concert.
Well, it's rather amazing because the biggest worry when you speak offline with people in telco is how did the Chinese get such a head start over us? Well, I mean, I think that whoever is in the government who's calling this the trade policy, they're saying, okay, listen, we're going to just stop them. Now, I think that this is separate totally from tariffs, even though it's got a lot of semiconductors cut up. But it is a genuine belief that we can catch and pass. Now, remember what this is about. We always thought that it was about price competition domestically. So suddenly maybe our bills go up. Remember, that was the rap. It's not in the equation.
Right. Now, they're talking about increasing competitive pressure, and they're also saying, by the way, I mean, some of the commitments are they build a world-leading 5G network. That's a commitment. Rural Americans receive robust 5G broadband service. In-home broadband competition.
Right.
So, again, wireless broadband being a competitor to cable is a key part of this.
Story.
These are all the things that, of course, that Sprint and T-Mobile have been talking about as the benefits of their potential deal. Having the capital structure, of course, to actually spend the money to be able to provide the service being the key. And they are going to get rid of Boost Mobile, divested to a serious and credible buyer who can compete aggressively in the prepaid services on a long-term basis. They say these commitments will be enforced by strong verification measures, substantial voluntary contributions for missed deadlines, and continuation of the voluntary contributions until unmet obligations are fulfilled. Which, by the way, they go on to say within 3 years of the merger's closing, the new T-Mobile will blanket 3/4 of the country's population with mid-band spectrum, cover 97% of the country's population with low-band spectrum, allowing for the rollout of 5G.
How about the other winners, David?
100 megabits.
Verizon and the much maligned AT&T, which seems to have found a Game of Thrones bottom.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
And they're beneficiaries
because you can now raise prices as only 3 companies.
But one of the keys here, I think, is going to be not raising prices for when you offer 5G. You're not a believer, right?
No. I mean, no. We had 5 and it goes into 3. Do you think there's going to be more price competition? John Ledger's out.
Man, we haven't heard from him on.
No, John is like it's kind of silence for John. But Verizon is really running, and AT&T, which had been such a dog, is NVIDIA. I really feel is just a good buy right here at 6.5%. I'm going out there and saying a stock that I have disliked.
AT&T.
AT&T.
So we're done with concerns about balance sheet, debt repayment, dividends.
This is if
fallen angels.
If the Justice Department agrees to this, then we'll all pay more, but we'll be the leader in 5G, David.
So you think they'll be able to raise price at AT&T?
You bet.
You're not worried about the execution on the Time Warner front and the ability to actually deliver the EBITDA gains, perhaps.
Well, they're not that good at their job. But they just got a major lift.
So the Fed no longer has an easy target when they're looking for disinflationary.
Well, they'll keep their prices down until the deal closes. They'll probably even get them lower because they want to show.
Well, there are certain. Listen, by the way, we don't know what the DOJ is going to also, if there are conditions there. And
3-year ban from raising prices. Okay, there. But AT&T at least doesn't have to deal with the price war anymore. David was actually, I think, implying that perhaps Randall Stevenson's not necessarily able uniquely. I don't know. Is he doing any programming? Does he have something after Game of Thrones?
No, that's not his area.
What do you mean?
Plepler's no longer at the company, but they
not his area. It's everybody. It's whole nation's area.
They've got a number of very seasoned executives. They do.
Okay.
At AT&T, I think the concern at that company is the debt load. Even though, of course, they cover their interest
David,
payments
cash flow,
dividend. Easily,
cash flow.
There is concern about the ability to grow over time.
Well, they don't need to grow. They got a 6.5%.
Be able to execute properly at Time Warner.
Macy's 6.7. This 6.4. I'm beginning to put together. I'm beginning to put together a yield-oriented, not that much growth package, and it's going to be an ETF because there aren't enough ETFs already, and it will just be it'll be a money magnet.
So the theme for the back half is going to be dividend growth?
Yeah, dividend and growth. Right now, right here, Verizon just roaring. David, good story.
It's an interesting
Don't you feel more powerful that now we're going to be the leader in 5G because we've hampered Huawei, which, by the way, Huawei, if you're working at Huawei, you're going right now. You're going to the chairman. I like to call him the chairman. See, I don't like to call him president. And you're saying, listen, I don't want Apple in our country, right? I don't want Apple. But Apple's, the stock acts like something's going to happen. And not just the Tulane speech, which was very good.